We off in this place, catching vibes, sit back and we blaze in the sky like I'm out of space. Natural high, light it up, light it up, light it up, light it up.
What's going on, cigar world? What's going on, cigar enthusiasts? This is Jack, the cigar enthusiast, and you already know what it is. We back with another segment of the virtual smoke deck, man. I hope you guys are rocking and rolling and ready for what's about to be in store. You know what's crazy is that intro is Light It Up, right? That is a song that was like created by one of my guys that was supposed to, be like our entrance song. And real quick story, when I first heard it, I was like, what in the hell is this? So now when I listen to it and I hear the Light It Up, I get to light my cigar, and and then it was even funny is our special guest. Yeah, we ain't gonna get there. Yeah, we ain't gonna get there. If you just watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, give us a huge thumbs up. If you're watching on Facebook, don't be the only one to be watching this. Go ahead and share it, create a watch party, hit that like button, love button, care button. I don't care. Hit any type of button outside the angry button, and I'll be happy. Anything to support, man, I appreciate it. So with that being said, man, I know this is like one of the roughest segments. I think this segment, as well as the one we were supposed to do on the 7th that I end up moving on the 6th, those are hard segments because you got 2 more games of football and you're trying to figure out how you can do it. But guess what? At the end of the day, you got 2 weeks of football and that is it. And you got a whole year of virtual smoke decks. But this particular segment is some major stuff about to come, man. And if you miss out on this segment, you miss out on some good news. You get good news. No good news, God. You know what I mean? Hey, shout out to all the people that's tuning in. Candy, thanks so much for tuning in. Pennsylvania in the house. Cynthia, Puerto Rico is in the house. My man Gray Wolf from New York. Thunder Man is from Indiana, man. People are tuning in, man. I appreciate you guys as always. You guys are the reason why we do this. With that being said, man, I'm not gonna talk your ears off too much because we got a special guest or a guest of honor that I've been waiting to really interview and get into. Shout out to my beautiful wife for tuning in. Thank you so much. I've been wanting to get this conversation going with her. Last time we were supposed to do this, there were some complications where we had to reschedule, and I'm just happy we was able to reschedule and do this thing how it's supposed to. And everything is timing, right? Because during that time, she didn't really have the updates that she was going to do. She probably had them, but wasn't ready to release them. But now she's ready to release them. And guess where you're going to hear it first? On the virtual smoke deck. God dang, how you guessing? Without further ado, introduce our guest, Susie from Lit Torch. What's going on, Susie?
Hello.
And we want to first start off by saying we appreciate you taking the time to come onto the virtual smoke deck. So many people have sat in that seat, but at the end of the day, we got a sister of the leaf that's doing some monumental stuff that's about to change the game for the industry. And we are excited to dive into, this not only mindset that you have, but also this great application that you have came up with that helps people really minimize the stuff like, I'm in Delaware. What is the closest cigar lounge to me? But I don't want to give no spoiler alerts. Spoiler alerts. Susie, go ahead and introduce yourself for anybody that don't know you. And also, if you're tuning in, hit that comment button so we can go ahead and put you up on the big screen. Shout out to Kevin. Conscious Cigars in the building. Susie, go ahead.
Hey, hi. So I'm Susie. I am the founder of Lit Torch app, and the Lit Torch app is an app for cigar smokers, lovers of the leaf. It is a multifunctional app. It is a lounge locator, like you said. When you're traveling, if you're on business, or you're just on vacation and you want to
You
look
ain't there
for
yet.
a lounge.
You ain't there yet. Tell us about you. Tell
Oh,
us about
about me.
you. How did
Okay,
that happen
so
to you?
got you.
I
Okay,
know.
so I am. So I'm Susie Mooney. I'm the founder of Lit Torch App, and this is my second business. I have a first business that I opened in 2017. It's a government consulting firm. So I have a niche of entrepreneurship. So I try and solve problems, and that was why the app was birthed. I have two kids, and I am a hard worker. I am solution based worker. I don't. It's hard to talk about yourself.
You know, what a lot of people don't know is Susie has a split image also walking around that she calls her twin sister.
I
And
do.
yeah, I remember when you was doing I think it was a video, like it was an introduction video or something like that, and she started it off, and she was like, "Hi, I'm Susie," and yada yada yada, and all of a sudden you came in. I was like, "Hold on, wait a minute, what's going on here?" And
Yeah, that's my twin sister.
yeah, so Susie, how long have you been smoking? What is usually your go-to wrappers or even cigar for that matter?
Okay, so my first time smoking was in 2005. 2005, I was over in Iraq when I was in the military, and I was over in Iraq, and we were on our way back. We were, getting ready to demobilize and come back home, and somebody sent one of the soldiers like a box of cigars, like a whole different variety of cigars. And I said, "Oh, I'll try it. I survived Iraq. I think I could, survive trying a cigar." And I get the darkest, the oiliest cigar to try first. And at first, I was like, it's all right. It's all right. So throughout the years, I smoked, here and there, but probably 2015 is really when I really started to smoke more, like gain appreciation of the leaf and like really understand what was in the cigar as opposed to just, smoking randomly here and there. My go-to cigars lately, I think anybody that follows Lit Torch know that I'm a huge fan of AJ Fernandez's cigars for many reasons. So any type of cigar that man blends or touches, I am hands down a fan of. He's a genius. He's a genius. But lately, right now I'm smoking Nova cigar. This one is the Park Avenue cigar, and this one is a Ecuadorian wrapper. So I like medium. I like some full bodied cigars, and but this is my choice today.
And you can't go wrong with that. First and foremost, thank you so much for your service. One thing
Thank
I
you.
love, one thing I love about veterans as well as the cigar culture is we really know how to come together and do some great things. One thing that the military teaches everybody that's been in there is discipline, respect, and understanding, and how to adapt and overcome. And I think it's just crazy that so many people that have served, so many people that have done great things, and at the end of the day, we ultimately need to keep that in focus and continue to give back to our veterans. And one thing that a lot of people don't know that's not veterans is a lot of people get turned on through organizations like Cigars for Warriors and
Mhm.
all the other, cigar gifting services out there that's for veterans on deployment. I mean, I didn't unfortunately experience that way. I wish I did. It's free cigars, but on my last deployment, we used to get care package, and I was actually the coordinator for the cigars and all that stuff for the boat. But a lot of people don't understand like how much that changes things. Being out there on deployment, you have so many stress levels and stuff like that that you try to do something different than what you already do on a day-to-day basis. So
Yep.
my question is, what made you even get to that function? Like, I understand somebody had got the cigars and all that stuff, but like, what made you, out of everything that you could have been doing on deployment, what made you go there? And then on top of that, what made you go with the oily? What attracted you about the Maduro wrapper?
I'm not sure what attracted me to it. Probably the smell, because I mean, the guy who had the cigars was saying, you could smell the leaf, and so I'm smelling it and looking at it. It wasn't attractive, but I like the smell of it, and what made me or what makes me continue to smoke or even back then is therapy. I
Yeah.
call it therapy. This is sitting on a couch in the therapist's office and getting your therapy on. I can talk to it. It can talk to it. It can, relax me, and it's just between me and my stick.
And that's you're absolutely right. That's like for me, fishing and cigars is like everything. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
when most of the time you see when I'm not hands deep or head deep into something else, I'm usually just sitting in this chair and I'm just thinking, smoking my cigars, filling up my office space, and just thinking. And I think that's like for a lot of people that smoke cigar, that's like the best therapy lesson. It's like, yeah, you can sit up there and talk to people, which helps, that
Right.
definitely helps. But I think with a lot of problems that we typically have, a simple cigar fix would do for the most part.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And you spoke of Cigar for Warriors. I'm an event coordinator for Cigar for Warriors as well.
Man,
So I believe in giving back. Like you said, you served and you know how it is. Some people don't realize how hard it is for troops that are deployed or just over in the combat areas. And to get a care package, sometimes cookies are great, but to get a care package with cigars, a cutter or a lighter that you otherwise wouldn't be able to do because you're all the way over there, I want to change that. And
yeah,
so, and I really support how Cigar for Warriors wants to make sure that we take care of our own. I mean, we are free because of our troops.
yeah.
They fight for our country. So yeah, so I'm a big supporter of Cigar for Warriors so much that I joined to be a event coordinator. So you'll see some of that coming soon.
Perfect. Because actually, I got a couple homeboys that's actually about to get ready to go out on deployment. And unfortunately, they don't have, this guy on the next deployment that was on their last deployment that knew all that stuff. So I'm gonna definitely figure out who's gonna be the coordinator of it and go ahead and get them in touch with you, or at least you can get them in touch with somebody in the Florida area and
Absolutely.
make it happen. But yeah, Susie, I spoke on your introduction. It's like, man, I've been really waiting to kind of dive into your mind and kind of dive into everything that you have going on. So many people probably have heard you already talk about the Lit Torch app. But we're gonna go back into that. But I want to talk about some of the things that is not mostly talked about on your segments, right? Everybody wants to, well, tell us about Lit Torch. What is a Lit Torch app? And all this good stuff. And I don't, trust me, I don't mind doing that. But what I'm getting to is like, look, you got people tuning in to see you. So let's get to the bombshell. So obviously for people that don't know, explain Lit Torch and explain why it was actually created.
Okay, so it's two reasons why I created it. So Lit Torch is an app for cigar smokers, and what I want it to be, or I see it evolving to be, is similar to Facebook or Instagram for cigar smokers. That's the plan. That's the evolution of the app. Initially, it was going to be a dating app for cigar smokers. So it's not one out there. And so,
Interesting.
um, yeah, but I didn't want my audience to be just for singles,
Yeah.
So I said, okay, let me push getting the wider audience and fulfilling the need, which
Yeah.
is the second reason. I talked to somebody yesterday, and I said, have you heard of the Lit Torch app? He's like, I've heard of it, but I'm not sure what it's about. I said, when you travel, what do you do when you're looking for cigars, cigar lounges? He said, I go to Google. I said, aren't you tired of that? He's like, yeah. I was like, pull up the Lit Torch app. I
Right.
said, you pull it up and it'll show you the recommended lounges when you wherever you're going. You pull it up and it'll show you the ones that are closest to you or in the state. So that's the main function of the app. But there's many other many components to it. there's a social wall on there. You know, we always love to show what we're smoking. You all show what you're smoking. People can comment. People can like on the social wall. There's going to be some more social walls coming soon. Um, I'm sure you saw where I did the tour of AJ Fernandez's house. So what I do is the way I compare it or explain it is if you remember MTV Cribs,
Uh-huh.
think of it that way, or Pimp My Ride, think of it that way, except for I do it for lounges. I go into lounges, I interview, the lounge owner, try and get their vision. Why is the lounge the way it is? And then I do a tour. And so right now it's the best thing for people who can't travel. We just can't travel. We can't go into lounges, but you can go to a few of the lounges that I have already provided lounge tours for, and it's an experience.
Yeah.
So, and then, I do marketing, and that is actually taking off quite fast right now. Right now, I have my biggest client right now is Philly Cigar Week,
Uh-huh.
and I offer various packages, and people can advertise on the app. They could advertise, use me for advertising and marketing. So it's big. It's gaining momentum. It's doing what it needs to do.
So what is the ultimate goal for Candy? I seen your question. We're going to get back to it. It's about to tie into after this question. So what is your ultimate goal? If you could sit down and say, I want Lit Torch to be this in the grand scheme of things, not just a dating app or a social platform for cigar smokers. What is the ultimate vision that you have for Lit Torch?
The ultimate vision is for every cigar smoker, the same way that people wake up and check their email. I want them to wake up and check Lit Torch, whether that's for the information blog, a review, or planning out their day, or even just to post on the various social walls. That's the goal. The goal is I want people to be addicted to Lit Torch and spark that flame.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. So Candy asks, how do shops get listed?
Either the shop owner or a cigar smoker reach out to me either through the app or through social media, and just send me a message and say, hey, there's a lot of people who will say, hey, you don't have this lounge on the locator. I've been there. I really like it. You should check it out. And usually I'll add it. And there's been some times where some people like, you might want to check this one out. You got it on the app, and I'm not so sure if you probably want to check it out. And then I'll dig deeper to see why, because it is recommended lounges, and I don't discriminate, but I also believe in premium customer service.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that's the biggest thing, coming from a retail owner that's about to get ready to open here in the next week or so.
Congratulations.
Hey, thanks. But one thing that is, I think one thing that everybody needs to understand is like, look, so many people want the representation and people to sit here and support them, but you first got to support your own self. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is I have to do everything in my power to make people want to hit you up and say, Dapper D's is not on there. I'm telling you, Dapper D should be on there for X, Y, and Z. Obviously, the owners can call you and be like, hey, Susie, hey, I see you don't have my lounge on there. I would love to have my lounge on your platform. And they're going to speak all this good stuff. But it's something different when you have a cult-like following that sits there and supports you in a major way by reaching out to these people, by saying, hey, this is what we need to do. So, for anybody, I think it's major that we sit here and we first got to do what we are supposed to do that makes the customers reach out to Susie and be like, hey, Susie, this lounge is here. Because I know Candy. Candy, she's a great friend, and she's up there in Pennsylvania, and they have some amazing shops out there. And they have one shop out there that I'm sure she's talking about is probably Caravan Cigar Company. and it's
Okay.
small brick and mortar, but it has a cult-like following. I mean, I'm in Florida, and the way they talk about Caravan makes me want to go out to Pennsylvania just to go have a cigar. You know what I mean?
Oh
So
wow.
it's one of those good things, and for what it is that you're doing, though, it's really like it's revolutionizing the cigar industry. The cigar, I say this statement, that I'm going to shut up because I want to dive into something else. But I often tell people that the cigar industry is very, very old school. They do a lot of things that is old school ways,
Yeah.
not understanding this is 2021, and we still rather, get onto Facebook. Hey, I'm in X, Y, and Z. What cigar lounges are here? Versus, oh well, let me go to Google to figure out which one's here, or let me download this app. That's everybody has these things. Let me download this app and be like, look, I'm in, I don't know, Chicago. Let me pull up cigar lounges in Chicago's, and then you get a whole bunch of recommended ones that's been vetted through the Lit Torch vetting process. Now you don't have to worry about, man, I went to this cigar lounge. Let me tell you about this story. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think that's major. It's crazy that you said that you wanted to first start this off as a dating site. What got you, dating for cigar singles? What got you away from that? Because I think that's a brilliant idea. But what got you away from it?
So the what got me away from it was I wanted to pull the whole cigar community. So I wanted to pull everyone in. And obviously, if I just do the dating app, I'm not pulling everybody in, because if it was going to be the dating app, it was also going to have the cigar lounge locator, right? So I didn't want to push it that, hey, Lit Torch is is a dating app for cigar smokers, and it's a lounge locator. So now it's a lounge locator and so many other things, and an additional function is a dating piece that I'll announce right now is being worked on. So that piece is being added on.
So pretty much, people will be able to go to your app, swipe left and right.
No.
Swipe left and right and say date night at Dapper D Cigars. So what's the grand scheme of it? How would it work?
So it's still in the process of being developed. So I am redesigning. This is another announcement. The app is being redesigned right now, and in about 6 weeks, 6 weeks I will release the redesigned app and some additional functions. That additional function that I've promised, for the past probably 6 months is the dating piece. And it is not Match.com. It's not eHarmony. It's not Plenty of Fish, or what is that swipe left one? Tinder. It's none of that.
Okay.
You still have to meet. It's just that, I am going to provide a platform through Lit Torch for singles to meet and greet. And Lit Torch will also do events, speed dating events. We will also recommend certain lounges that will have a singles night to, you can meet singles. And so that what I want, like I said before, is I want Lit Torch to be that thing where every smoker is grabbing and checking for, whether you're single or if you're not single. You there's going to be multi-functions in there that will make the smoker grab that phone and look up Lit Torch.
And that, like everybody is saying in the comments, and I 100% agree.
I can't see them.
Oh my God!
I told you I can't.
Brilliant idea to the point where it's almost like, dang, that's going to revolutionize how cigar folks are dated, because everybody wants a girl or a guy. If you're a girl that smokes cigars, you want a guy that smokes cigars. If you're a guy that smokes cigars, you want a girl that smokes cigars. So I mean, what better way to kind of intertwine it all and really, really make it happen? I think that's dope. So Bombshell was one, the dating piece, the app redesign. What else is to come?
I'm working on some big things, and I'm not ready to share two pieces of it.
Okay.
So you have to have me back on, or we'll talk about it later on. But I'm working on big things, like. So I'm gonna just toot my horn right now.
Go ahead.
The ceiling, there's no ceiling
Uh-huh.
for Susie and Lit Torch. There's no ceiling, and if it is, I bust it. You
Yeah.
know, I am always trying to figure out the next thing, the next problem that needs to be solved.
Uh-huh.
And I know of a couple,
Yeah.
and I'm ready to solve them. Not saying that other people aren't doing it, but not the Lit Torch way.
Mhm.
So I am working on some things, and it's big. It's big, and you know, just like with the dating piece, yeah, I think it's a problem. Yes, we have the Tinder and all of that. You even have people in your DMs, meeting and greeting that way. But again, this is a way where if somebody's in on Lit Torch, in that it's going to be a certain section. If they're in that section, they're looking to meet.
Yeah.
There's no wiggle room. There's no assumptions. You're looking to meet, and you do the work. I ain't no matchmaker.
Right. Not
But
Cupid.
you do the work. I'm just provide. Right. I'm not Cupid. I'm providing the climate and the space for you guys to be able to you know hopefully meet your next flame, your first flame, or your last flame.
You know
And
what's
that's
crazy is that for people that's new to the channel, have never seen our podcast or the way we do podcasts. Our podcast is literally set up to be cigars and business. We obviously smoke cigars. We bring people that smoke cigars, but one thing that we always hit on is the business aspect and diving deeper into that alone. And you mentioned one thing that stood out to me, that should have stood out to a lot of people, is there's no ceiling for Susie. And I think a lot of people go wrong because they start setting limitations on themselves. So, for instance, I'm reading this book called The Millionaire Mindset. And what the millionaire mindset goes in, it breaks down financial and mental barriers that you have in your life. And it's like when a lot of people be like, I just want to be comfortable, or I want to make $200,000. So every time you get to that comfort zone, or you meet that $200,000 salary, you're going to eventually capsize yourself on just those things. And I think when you're really talking about the fact of the matter that there is niches that need to be filled that people aren't doing, and you said that not to step on anybody's toes or anything like that, but in reality, are you? Because what it sounds like to me is that you're doing the work. You see them, and somebody else is probably seeing them, but they just don't want to do the work to do it.
Yeah, so what I mean by that is that there's a lot of people, and my thing is, I'll first say that competition is good. It's great. Some people don't like competition, but it forces you to level up. And I think I do have the only app out there, and I'm sure competition will come my way soon, and that's fine. What I mean in these other areas is that things are being done, and there's going to be competition when I step in, and that's okay. And I'm not saying that whoever is doing this, that, or whatever is doing it wrong or right. There's just going to be a lit torch way to it. You know what I mean? And it's enough room out here. The pie is big enough for all of us to eat. And I think competition is great. And I'm just get ready.
Yeah. Hey, look, I was saying this quote to myself today, and it's like, I don't compete with anybody because the only person that can give me competition is myself. So if I can compete with anybody, it's myself, because I'm going to be the one that stops or put limitations on my life or limitations on my business, because I'm going to speak those things. So if I'm going to compete with anybody, I'm going to compete with myself. So as long as you keep that same mindset, compete with yourself, not anybody else, then at the end of the day, you will always be on top. You think Bill Gates obviously now competes with Apple, but when he started Microsoft, do you think he was competing with anybody? He was competing with himself.
Right.
Hitting that ceiling, knocking them walls down, knocking them barriers down. So I think it's going to be great. One pivot. I think we have talked a lot about the app, but the app is not all of Susie, right? Obviously, the app has a lot of things, but I like diving deeper into the people, right? So what introduced you to the business mindset to get you to this place or the success that you have obtained, not only in your consulting business, but also in the app? What was the mindset that you needed to condition yourself to get there?
So I'm gonna go way back. When I graduated high school, I had opportunities to get scholarships, but I chose to go in the military. And when I chose to go into the military, for many reasons, I chose the military because I knew that I didn't want to depend on anybody. And going to college, I was going to be an adult dependent on people.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I joined the military, so I could start my own and figure out how to be my own. And the military has changed my life from when I went in at 18, and the skills that I learned from being in the military, and it developed me to be a worker with integrity,
Mm-hmm.
and with this initiative within that every time I got a job or I was somewhere, that people were wowed.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with going through the ranks in the military. I remember being deployed and I was walking around, and a soldier came up to me and was like, "You are a staff sergeant," which is an E6. "You're too young to be a staff sergeant." And it's like, okay, again, that's where I bust the ceiling. Like,
Yeah.
it's a thing within me. It's a drive within me, this grit that I have that propels me to want to elevate
Mm-hmm.
and do better and find the best. And so when I got out of the military, out of active duty, I was a reservist. And as being a reservist, I had a full time job and I went up the ranks. Same thing with my full time job while I'm in the reserves. And being in the civilian side, working my way up the ranks, I said, okay, it's got to be something else, something else. So I got to the position that I'm working now under my company, and I said, you know what? The client keeps asking for me to be on this contract. I need to open up. I need to work for myself. And that's where I said, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. So I created the entity and went for the work. A lot of ups and downs, but finally I got what I wanted. And I tell you, God makes things happen when it's supposed to happen. I had so many downfalls with my first business, which is what allowed me to be able to be prepared for Lit Torch. So many downfalls that I thought quit is not in me, but there were times where I really wanted to. And as soon as I started to feel like it's time for me to quit, flipped it around and everything worked in my favor for my first business. And so that is working. And it gave me the experience. It gave me the armor to be tough as nails when it comes to the app, because there's not a lot of nice people out here. I don't know if you feel it too, but you really have to have thick skin, and mine has grown to like the leather. And
That when
yeah,
it
so
that when it scratches or when it endures any type of uh heartache or anything like that, it blends in. It gets
right,
tougher.
right, right, and it's and that's how the app was developed. It was developed off of my experience and knowing that, like I said, I am a solution based worker. I try and find, if there's a problem, it's got to be a solution. It's got to be a couple solutions, and you figure out what's the best solution that'll work for you.
Yeah.
And that was the birth of the app. was to figure out, the solution for a couple things. And it just so happened that I was able to use my experience in the military, my experience with developing and working for the first company, developing that I'm able to really make Lit Torch the way it is. And there's no stopping. I am always working. My son, if he's on here, my sister, if she's on here, there's times where I don't eat. I don't eat because I am working, and it's not even about, it's not a choice. It's more of, I gotta make it good. I gotta make it great because I want that product delivered great,
Yeah.
not mediocre.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm gonna figure it out. I didn't know a lot about cigars. I knew as a smoker, but I made sure that I walked the walk because I was talking the talk. And that's why I went over to AJ Fernandez's compound. I went over there because I wanted to make sure that I knew what I was talking about. If I'm going to be delivering information, then I need to get there. And thank God that TK, hopefully you're on here. I'm not sure if you're on here. TK has pushed me. He said, you make sure that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And for women, not to stereotype or anything of that nature, y'all have kind of, when people see y'all in cigar lounges, it seems like a more of a, let's really find out what they know. Do they even know what they smoking? And it's like, at the end of the day, you wouldn't do that to me. And if you did, I will school you. So it's just funny that the fact of you went out your way to figure out and make sure that you were well educated and diverse on a topic that you knew was going to come. And again, that's that ability of being aware of what's to come next, And right. I think this next question I'm about to ask you is gonna really be on time, because it's one of those that I feel people really need to understand. And it's, what is the most integral part of your business that you spend the most time now that you still spent the most time in when you first started?
Constantly creating efficiencies within the app. Because when I first started, what I knew was that everybody has a phone, right? And soon the app is just going to be things. That's the thing, right? And so when I purchased and sat with the developers and said, hey, this is what I want, and they showed me, okay, this is how you do it, right? So I'm doing it, and I'm like, it's got to be a quicker way to do this, because it is time consuming. It's time consuming to update the app. It's time consuming to make sure that the quality of the videos, the picture, it's time consuming. And so what is the part that is continual is me creating efficiencies to the processes. Because the processes are what they are. And, I am soon going to be looking for some people to start working it. And I want to make sure that it is the most efficient process. And, less, doesn't take up a lot of time, but it produces great work.
Yeah.
And so that's the constant thing for me, is constantly, creating efficiencies in all the processes when it comes to the app from the back end.
Yeah. And speaking of hiring people, I think a lot of it is you in your mind, and let me know if I'm wrong, are trying to get it to a perfect spot for you to kind of be like, this is how you run it. But you also got to understand that there are some things that those people that you're going to hire, just like that first company you developed and understood, that they're going to say, we understand that's the perfect spot that you put it at, but we feel like this can be fixed, this can be fixed, this can be fixed. And ultimately, it'll be something that runs like a well-oiled machine that nobody can touch. So, speaking on just that point alone is getting the right people in your team. And that kind of goes into my next conversation. What is the most influential person that has been there from the thick and thin, that's pushed you, that has motivated you, that has got you to where you are? And how do they constantly put themselves in a position to continue to push you and motivate you?
TK TK, when I met TK, I reached out to him and I said, hey, I didn't know him from Can of Paint.
Yeah.
I didn't. I reached out to him. I said, hey, you don't know me, but I see you. I've been following you, and I am creating this app. And I told him about it, and immediately he started mentoring me without even saying he was mentoring me.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't even ask for that. You know, I was going to, but he pushes me to the point like I could say, you know, I'm trying to do this for the app or whatever, and he doesn't say that's a effed up thing to do or don't do that. He'll provide scenarios, or sometimes he'll cuss, and it's like, but I know it's because he cares.
Yeah.
And he knows the industry, he knows the culture. And you know, there's been times where I feel discouraged, and he'll say, listen, you got it.
Mm-hmm.
Stop thinking you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And he has always pushed in the areas that where I thought I knew. He'll provide a different perspective and is like, okay, I don't know that yet, but okay, now I do. So he has been from the beginning and has advised me, mentored me, um, and said, you know, keep going.
Yeah.
Especially when there were times where I felt discouraged. You
And
know, sometimes I even sell myself short. And I'll give you this story. I was talking to him about, you know, this marketing deal, and, you know, it didn't sound right. It didn't even feel right. I don't even know why I even talked to him about it, but I told him about it, and he was cussing left and right. And he was like, hell no, hell no. Lit torch is not that. No, what they want, no, it's not that. And they don't want to pay. No, it's not that. Lit torch does not do that. And so it's like I was ready because it was like my first marketing deal, and I was ready to like bounce on him, like, oh, but I can make it work. Mm-mm. But I also knew he said, get your emotions out.
yeah.
From that point, I've taken my emotions out of every decision I make now.
Yep. And I think that's the best advice that anybody can get when you're executing. And that's something that I had to learn. You know, a lot of people don't know, but I am a very, very kind person. I may not look it all the time, but I have a lot of compassion for people. And I also find myself listening to people and trying to help in so many different ways. And I had to realize that, Jack, you can't help everybody. And last thing you can't do is put your feelings into a decision that is going to either cost you money or that can affect your business or affect you personally in any kind of way. And, you know, you saying that is like, wow, you know, it's just words of affirmation. It's like, yo, you really can't do that. It's no successful person. You know, when people hate the phrase, it's just business, right? People hate that phrase or that those couple of words. People hate it, but in reality, it is the most honest and true thing that anybody can say. Because at the end of the day, you may not want to hurt somebody's feelings, or you may not want to tell them the truth, or you may not want to tell them that this deal is not going to work, because in your mind you're going to hurt their feelings. But in reality, it's just business.
Right.
Outside of business, we can be friends, but right now, that's not what we're here to do. We're not here to be friends. And
Exactly.
You know, I feel like it's always great to have somebody in your corner. You know, it's so many people, Susie, and I'm talking straight to you. I'm not even talking to the people watching. It's so many people that want to be in your circle. It's so many people that want to be around you because of the reputation in which you can bring them. You understand? They see your success. They see what you are capable of, and all they want to do is grab onto your coattail and ride you up that mountain. What I'd say to a lot of people is, when you are that person that's trying to ride somebody's coattail, what you're doing is stopping them from getting up the mountain. And if you're gonna be in the wagon that she is pulling to go up the mountain, at least oil up the wheel while you go up the mountain. At least at least, hey, say, hey, I'm looking back and a rock just slipped. We need to get ahead of that before the wagon wheel falls off, or before it goes off the cliff, you know. And not too many people are willing to do that. People are just there long enough to use you for their financial, mental, emotional, physical gain. And then guess what? When you need it, they're not gonna be there. They're not gonna be there. They're gonna be like, oh, it's your fault, or it's this, or it's that. In reality, no. Your journey is not meant for everybody. Lit Torch is not meant for everybody. Every event that everybody want Lit Torch to market, put up or shut up. And if you can't do that, then we ain't got nothing to talk about. We can be
Mm-hmm.
friends, but we just ain't got no business to talk about.
Have you been in my journals?
Hey, hey, look, I read people really good, and sometimes certain things just need to be said. I find that even for me, I am I used to be a big validation person. This for everybody. I said 2021, everybody's gonna get to really know me, right? I used to be a big validation person because I didn't get validation growing up. So every time I did something and nobody ever told me good job or you're doing great, I used to be like, man, I wonder if this person thinks it, or I think this person thinks it. In reality, the only validation you need is yourself and God's. If it ain't got nothing to do with that, then guess what? You don't need it, because everything that you're doing is not meant for people. So when you have people like TK that is more heaven sent versus somebody that is trying to ride your coattail, or somebody that's trying to do anything outside of helping you, that is the problem. And it's so hard to find people like TK, like the TK for your life. Most people don't find that until years down the line. And it's great that you were able to actually, find that and be able to attach on to somebody that really wants the benefit of you. Honestly, I really want to see Lit Torch succeed. I think even our first conversation, the conversation wasn't even it was about something else, and we got into a whole nother ballpark.
We did. Yeah.
A whole nother ballpark, because I'm not here to gain nothing from you. I'd much rather see you happy. I'd rather see you succeed. And I'd rather see your app on everybody's phone, which is why I downloaded it. I downloaded it on both phones. And I encourage everybody to go download that. But you know what I mean? A lot of people don't know about that conversation, and we ain't gonna use the virtual smoke that to talk about it. But at the end of the day, like, you got to understand when people want to see you, when you see you shine.
And and I want to talk about that. There's like the way our conversation, when we first had a conversation, and how it evolved into so many facets about business and managing.
Yeah.
I don't take that lightly. I really don't. I don't take people that take the time to talk to me and like really talk to me and tell me how it is. And that's what you did. You did. You told me how it was. And I didn't, not for one moment, take it as a grain of salt. And I don't do that with anybody that I talk to. I try to be as open and receptive to anybody that looks to communicate with me. And I sift through it and figure out what works, and then you throw away what doesn't. I mean, everybody does that. But I don't take any type of conversation that I have with anybody with a grain of salt, because you just never know what kind of knowledge that somebody can kick to you that you hadn't thought about, or that somebody is very well versed in this area or that area where I might not be, and I'm gonna listen. And again, I'll take the pieces that I think that is gonna work for me, or or the app, and then I throw away the rest.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate, people that are out there, or when you listen in, I appreciate the conversations that I have with each and every person that I do have it with. I don't think I know everything, but I try to get to know everything or learn about everything. I try not to. I hate the word I don't know or the term I don't know. Hate it. Hate it because you don't know. Go figure it out. And that's what I try to do. I
Yeah.
don't want to say I don't know. I want to say I'm gonna figure that out.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's deep. That's deep. So
So
we went too deep. We went too deep. Hey, we got into the middle of the ocean.
let's swim
How
back.
how was the AJ Fernandez tour? And like what made you say I'm gonna go tour AJ Fernandez's compound?
Who do you think told me that?
TK.
Yep. So listen, when I was talking to TK about the app and stuff, and he said I got something, and I told him, I think we had a unspoken agreement that what we talked about we didn't share. So if he told me something that was coming down the pipeline, I'm not going to tell anybody. It's
Right.
nobody's business. Our conversation is our conversation.
Yep.
So and talking to him, and I was telling him, this is what I'm trying to do for the app and this and that, and he's like, you need to he's like, you're going to be talking the talk, you need to walk the walk. He said, I got something churning. He's like, I'm going to AJ Fernandez in his factory, and we are doing tours. You need to get on one of them. And I said, okay. I didn't ask for no discount, no nothing. I said, let me pick the week. He gave me the timeline. I said, let me figure out the week. I paid full price, no discount, no nothing.
Absolutely.
And when he was over there, he was already over there. I ended up coming, I think, the last week, and life changing,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely life changing. From even if I was an avid smoker, like a cigar aficionado, to get the intimate details, the intricate details of how a cigar is made, how the business is ran, how AJ Fernandez is, the way he makes sure that the process is precise, to the point where he is in the tobacco fields, to the point where he is smelling the leaves to make sure that they're right, to the point where he's in the fermentation room where you can't breathe and you're choking, and he's checking to make sure that the process is right.
Yeah.
I, I'm still in awe, and that was almost a year ago, to get that firsthand. And I mean, I think I recorded from the moment I woke up to the time it was time to lay down. I mean, it was five of us on there, and it was perfect. It was a perfect amount of people. And I say, is where I say, God knows. I
Absolutely.
was with two lounge owners that were ready. They're working on opening their lounge. A tobacco leaf grower from uh, Connecticut, a brand owner, and then myself and TK.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't there to party.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't there to just learn, just look at the factory and say, hey, we've been there. We all were there to be sponges and get saturated with whatever came our way. And I'm telling you, that I couldn't have been with any other people to really, number one, hear them talk and just hear a different part of the industry, right? To hear the business talk
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't know, right? But also, we are all going into this factory. We are all going into to experience, the AJ Fernandez factory. How he treats his employees is amazing. Like, and I go back to say that is one of the reasons why I am AJ fan. Anything not the quality, just anything. He's a genius. His blends, he's just a genius. And I haven't had not one cigar that I don't like. And everybody has their own palette and their favorite profile, but that was life changing going over there. TK said, you need to go. And they allowed me to document. And so that's another thing that's coming up. There's going to be a docu-series,
Mm-hmm.
little snippets of the experience. It's the Lit Torch experience in SLE. It's
Yeah.
coming out, and it's going to be little episodes coming out. So people can get the feel. And then to even back that up, Cigar Educated, TK's brand, is doing tours over in at AJ Fernandez's compound. Well, Lit Torch is going to do some tours as well. So that's going to be coming up when we were open back up.
Yeah.
but we want to continue to, have that experience for cigar smokers, for them to, learn, but also know, enhance your knowledge of the leaf, the viso, the seco, the lejero leaf, you
Yeah.
know, so you
Well,
know what you're really smoking.
and I think that really changes the game. When you understand in depth, you know, kind of talking about like how people on the internet is not the friendliest people. They damn sure ain't. I one of my videos, I thank them for the comments, and Lord knows the comments weren't good, but I thank them because uh it taught me so much, but it also reinsured what I already knew. And just being able to talk about it or explain it in a form that is receptive to everybody that don't know is the biggest part. Like fermentation or curing cigars or seeding cigars or understanding the climates and how a lot of people look at this photo and be like, oh, those are some nice tobacco plants. Well, what happened to get there? You know,
Right,
what type of what type of treatment did they have to do to the soil? A lot of people don't
right,
understand to make these cigars that may cost us 7, 8, 13, $30. You know how much blood, sweat, and tears actually go into that? Seeing an actual curing barn or aging barn, like mugs don't really understand like how you'll walk in there and be like, what in the world? You know what I mean? And me personally, dead honest, I have never been, but I have studied it so much when it comes to fruition. And I was supposed to go to Cuba to do a tour over there, and it didn't happen because of COVID. But when I go, I'm still gonna be a kid in a candy store, regardless of what I know. I'm soaking up more and more and more and more, and I think you doing that, it gives you a better perspective on what it is that you're talking about now. You're not just talking about, like, people be like, well, I love 300 hands max. I mean minimum to touch a cigar. When I talk about these flavor profiles and I do my reviews and I'm talking about these cigars, people be like, well, how the hell did you taste that? Well, how do you think that blend is created? They're not blending that cigar and be like, oh, this is a great smoke. You have to develop a palate and a more distinctive palate to be able to distinguish the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that is what happens, during that entire process. That's why I tell people, I see a lot of brand owners on here. Clout Cigars, shout out to Clout, Conscious Cigars. And if I missed you, I'm sorry. But those are some that I know personally. I have never talked to the Clout CEO. Would love to have that conversation, but I know personally that they're doing the homework to make sure that their cigar is blended. No cigar is created and wrapped, and they be like, yeah, that's the one. And if it
yep,
is, that's probably gonna be the shittiest cigar I taste.
yep,
Because at the end of the day, your Ligero, your Seco, your Velado, your Vizio leaves, and all in one slight variation can throw your whole cigar out of whack.
yep. When we were over in Nicaragua in the factory, you guys will see it. They laid out all these leaves: the seco leaves, the viso leaves, and the lejero leaves, and they were puro. So they were like absolute the strongest at the
Yeah,
moment. And we tasted each one so we could understand, really tasting what the difference is in a Esteli seco or Ometepe
yeah,
Viso. You really can tell the different flavors, and then when you blend it, we were able to blend our own cigars and be able to taste it. But to really, like you said, to really create your own cigar, you really need to know your leaves, and you can't just have somebody throw it together and say, yeah, this is it. You really need to taste those leaves and understand what you're putting into your blend. So yeah, and hopefully one day I'll be able to blend one.
hey, why not? Why not? I
Yeah.
just tell people, this is not Tesla. But no, not to Tesla. Tesla did a lot of work, a lot of studies, a lot of science projects to get to there. And it kind of just took a wave. Cigars is not that. You know, there's brand owners that's been building their brand for 10 years, 11 years, 15 years, 20 years, just to get the notoriety, you know, of their brand. And, you know, one that I know we're talking about AJ. AJ just won Factory of the Decade.
Absolutely.
But that's a true testament to, you know, why all these other brand owners are going to AJ to blend their cigars. But one particular story that I love, and when I first read it, it kind of made me fall in love with him even more, is Padron. I mean, does anybody know that the first time Padron made a cigar, he sold one? And he sold it to this dude that was saying that he really wanted a box press cigar. He never came back and bought it. He never bought the box. He bought one cigar. One. Never touched it. Jose goes back, you know, to that lounge where he had that box of cigars at, and seeing that it was one particular cigar that was sold. He calls the dude. He's like, hey, did you buy this? However they communicated. Call, sit the birdie, whatever. Indicated that he had bought the cigar. So Jose goes in there, buys the whole box back, and goes back to the lab. Now look at Padron. You can't stop people from talking about Padron. You can't see one list of Cigar Aficionado, Cigar Dojo, Cigar Snob Magazine, any Cigar Journal, anybody that has a top 25 list and not see them on it. But you got to understand, Jose did that in 1960. It's 2021. You know what I mean? It's 50 years in the making, or 60 years, almost 60 years in the making. So you got to understand, longevity is everything. And that's how business works. Longevity. If you was those times when you got discouraged, if you were to stop, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now.
It's funny you say that, because that's what TK said. Longevity. He's like, Lit Torch needs longevity. Period.
Yes.
And yeah.
We create things and we ultimately want them to just go because we created them. But you can't create.
It takes work.
You can't create nothing without work. You can't create nothing without a cult-like following. You can't create nothing without understanding that you're gonna have flaws in it. When I created my website, a lot of people don't know that, but I created my entire website. I literally watched a 3-hour video for about 4 weeks. A 3-hour video for 4 weeks. Every minute I stopped it. Hold on. How do you do this? We need to Google this. We need to figure this out. And still to this day, you know, I was sitting in the cigar lounge on Friday, and I rarely go out to cigar lounges. You know, no knock to everybody, but anybody, but people like to talk, especially once they realize, like, you know, oh, that's Dapper D's, you know, they're opening up, whatever. People like to talk. And most of the time you get nothing done when you go there. Like most people can go to cigar lounge and get everything done. But this time I was like, man, I can't sit in my office. I'm going to go there and work. Didn't get none of that done.
It didn't work.
It didn't work. But I was talking to my homeboy. I was like, look, I got to get this done. I got to make this update to my website. I gotta get, you know, this stuff ordered for the lounge. I got to do this for the lounge. And, you know, you get what I'm saying? It just, more the story is nothing happens overnight. I think, as everybody else thinks, Lit Torch is going to be the best thing out there. Best thing.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You got to keep believing that. I can believe it. Everybody else on the comment box can believe it. But you got to believe it. When it get hard, when you don't know what to change next, you got to continue to reinvent that wheel. Continue to like Stogie TV said, continue to seek that knowledge and maintain a pure heart. That's way.
TK.
There you go.
TK rated, yeah.
TK, man, thanks for tuning in, champ. But yeah, so I think that's crazy. That's the type of efforts that, kind of went into you just to create an app, and a lot of people will go and create brands and not do that type of homework. People open up, cigar lounges and not do that type of homework and just be like, well, I know it's some money there. Do you really know?
Do you really know that it's not?
Do you really understand?
You have to have a love, a absolutely love and passion, and not see it. When it's open up a lounge, it's not about the money. It is not about the money. You get the money probably, quickly if you have a bar.
Yeah.
But if you are, it's
Hey.
not. I want to open up a lounge so I can make some money. Negative.
I think the perfect example is like creating my YouTube channel. I tell you, I critique myself every video and I'll be like, oh shit. Oh man, these comments about to come. They about to light it up. But at the end of the day, like it don't stop me. I know one of my comments was like, you clearly just in it for the money. Oh, am I?
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Oh, am I? I said, look, I'm not the richest, but I'm well. I do well for myself. But I tell you what, there's a bunch more businesses that I could have dove into than the cigar industry if I was really in it for the money. There's a bunch of more things I could have done than YouTube if I was in it for the money. Like that stuff just don't happen overnight. And I think that's where the epiphany that everybody kind of go into. Like Howard said, it's a lifestyle, 110%. I don't do this because, I want to. I do this because I love to.
Right.
These conversations like me and you are having and everybody else that comes on, I love to have these conversations. Right. My goal is to make sure that not only the viewers get, learn something, but man, it's a networking. I know for sure if I ever needed anything and I didn't have nobody to do it, I can come to Lit. I can come to, all the Michael Herlocks. I can come to D. I can come to these people that come on the virtual smoke dad because what we're doing is one word: networking. Yep. Networking, encouraging. That is all.
I always say, my term is elevating and empowering. Mm-hmm. We all need to elevate, one way or another together and empower. I can't stress that enough. Mm-hmm. That, it's sad that, like the people in your comments, instead of saying something to empower you to, even offer, criticism. Criticism, critics it's not a bad thing, or getting critiqued is not a bad thing. But I think it's the intent. What is your intent when you say what you say, or when you respond the way you respond? I believe in all of us trying to empower, and that's what I want Lit Torch to do, is empower fellow brand owners, lounges. I just want us to elevate and empower to the next level. And once we get to that level, let's find the next level, because we all out here trying to eat. Mm-hmm. And the pie is big enough. It is big enough.
It is. And that's, absolutely right. One question. Sorry, we went over some of the time that we had slotted out. If you got to go, just let me know. But the conversation is going so good, and I think that people are really enjoying it, and I'm really enjoying it. Hands down, what is the best attribute about yourself, and how has that contributed to your business?
My drive, my grit, my drive. If I step out of myself and I really look at myself, there's many times where I could look at myself standing outside of myself and say, that should have knocked you the hell out. Mm-hmm. But it didn't. Mm-hmm. So I'll say my grit, my drive is what is just, it's amazing to me. Sometimes I even question, like, damn, that didn't hurt. Not yet. No, keep on going. Because in business, and then you add the layer of cigars, and then add the layer of the cigar smokers, and then you add in the regulations. It- it's enough to beat anybody down. So that's what I would say. My grit, my drive, is probably the most favorable attribute.
So what do you do to strengthen your grit and your drive on a daily basis? That maybe somebody else that is looking to, you know, strengthen their grit and their drive can utilize.
I stay in prayer. I stay on YouTube all the time. There's and I'll be releasing this too. There are probably about 5 or 7 people that I follow on a daily to to keep my mind straight,
Hmm.
because with life within itself, it can beat you down, and there's times where I really go to YouTube to make sure that what I'm feeling is okay, and how to get back right. And that's the personal side, but also the business side, and I keep God in the forefront, and I stay in prayer to make sure that I don't fall off, you know and um I also have my son who's with me, and he sees, and I really want him to really see and have that role model in front of him to say, "Mommy's not giving up." There's times where he see I'm just tired. Sometimes he say, "Mom, I need you to sit down and eat." And I, that, yeah, that
Talk
boy.
about it. Hey.
It's I have to for him. His dad passed away, and so it's me.
Mm,
I have to show him that, you know, we are gonna have our trials and tribulations, but that doesn't make us, you know. And we persevere. I think it's within us to have this perseverance, right? But it's also within us to use it
mhm,
or not. And it's important that I show him that he sees that, and that's for both businesses. He actually works for me for the other business. He shreds and throws away stuff and file. And he gonna learn.
yeah.
He just want that paycheck, and I'm like, you working for this paycheck, right?
Exactly.
So yeah.
I think kids will do it to you. The amount of pressure that I get just from my 5-year-old daughter, boy, she she be like, let's do it. Like, Daddy, you got to do it. She's like my biggest
Denver,
motivator.
right?
Yeah, Denver.
Yes.
Right, right here. I got the Instagram logo right here. So every time she comes out, she be like, she'll bloop. It's Jack the cigar enthusiast, and I'm back with another video. But that type of stuff is like, that's my motivation.
Yeah.
Like, to see her, so enthusiastic about that, then it's like wrong for me to come on here and not be enthusiastic about what I'm doing. It's wrong
Yeah.
for me to sit here and say I don't have passion for what I'm doing, because if I show that to her, what is she gonna do? She gonna be like, well, when things get hard, or when you don't know how stuff is gonna happen, then I guess you just quit. You stop. So every time she come out here and press that, I said, that's another video. That's
Mhm.
another interview. That's another
Right.
late night. That's another, trying to make sure Dapper D's is the best. That's another, making sure that these kids don't want for nothing. But also, that also shows her that at the end of the day, if you want it, you go get it. You take it.
Right.
People gonna try to tell you not to. People gonna try to tell you to stop it, or people gonna try to tell you everything to discourage you. But when you look at them kids, that's your affirmation to keep on going.
Yeah.
Susie,
One time I
go
was
ahead.
watching a live. I can't remember what it was, and my son was not too far away from me. And as I'm watching, whoever it was, I can't remember exactly which one it was. But she said, "Yeah, Lit Torch. Lit Torch app. Have you heard of that? You need to download it." And so my son looked over. He said, "Oh, Lit Torch app." And I said, "See that right there is affirmation. Is just like, okay, he get it. And sometimes, sometimes he's impatient. When I'm at, away or at a lounge, and he gets upset, but also he understands. And then
Yeah,
like just hearing that, he's like, I was like, baby, this is what mommy does.
yeah.
When you hear that, that's what mommy is doing. And he's like, I got it, I got it. So
And
yeah,
that's the biggest thing is like I think us as parents we try so hard to, make sure that we give them all the attention and all the things that they want, but sometimes we beat ourselves up on how much are we giving them? Are we giving them enough? Do they understand what is going on? If they don't, then it's up to us to sit down and talk to them about it. Because I think the best thing that you can give a kid is not money. It's not, you know, uh, uh, whatever the case may be. I believe the best thing that you can give your kids is motivation, perseverance, and persistence and dedication. I
yep.
think if you can teach your kids that, then you have did everything you need to do in a parent. Because when they get out to this world and they start realizing how effed up this world is, those things that you put into them is gonna be the concrete that they can stand on and say, "I got this. I
What
got
I
this."
say, what I say is, I like you said, the best thing that you can give is, I don't think it's time. I don't think it's love. I think it's enlightenment,
Yeah,
which encompasses everything that you just
yeah.
said. Because if you enlighten, I have a 23-year-old daughter,
Hmm.
and um, she's a full-time student. She's a full-time manager at CVS. And when Amazon calls her to be an on-call delivery person, she drops and goes.
Uh-huh.
She grinds. She hustles. Ever since she's been in school, she does not ask me for money. I'll go now, and what I did though in raising her, I told her you never want your bank account to go negative.
Hmm.
I look at her account; she'll have about 2 pennies, maybe 8 cents. It ain't negative. And so when I see that, I'll put money in her account. She's like, oh, thanks. But it's what I showed her. I enlightened her on so many things that, she saw me grinding back then. I was working, I was a bartender and I was security at the front door and all of that of clubs and stuff. And she saw that and she knows that you grind, you work hard so then you could play hard. And that's what she's doing. And I think that that's what we need to do with our kids is yeah, you could spend time, but is that quality time,
Yeah.
right? Or are you really enlightening them? You know what I mean? Getting them ready for the world. What was
Great one said, how can someone 21
it?
have a 23-year-old?
I know. I told you,
No.
God make things happen.
The same way Mary had Jesus without any type of
Right.
fornication. Well, Susan, it's been great. I think this is a great interview. I think we really dove deep into some things, and I want to first and foremost let you know I wish the best for you. And if there's anything that we can do to assist, we are here. Whether that is
Thank
a
you.
conversation, whether that is, traveling somewhere, it does not matter. Let us know because that is what it's all about. One thing on the
Thank
virtual
you.
smoke deck that we like to always close out with is that one gem. I think we dropped a whole bunch in this whole entire segment. But what is one gem that you want everybody to take away? It doesn't have to be about business. It doesn't have to be about personal. It could be just a quote. It could be anything. One gem that you want people to take away from this segment.
All right. Um, my tagline is spark that flame, right? And spark that flame is multi-dimensional. That spark that flame to get your therapy. That spark that flame to ignite what's dull inside of you. That spark that flame to your relationship. Spark it, and make it more powerful. And that's my tagline. My tagline is spark that flame. Anybody that posts, I need you to write spark that flame. But spark that flame, and that goes in any part of your life, anything that you're doing. Spark that flame, ignite it. If it's dull, spark that flame.
Spark that flame. Y'all
That's
heard it.
right.
Y'all heard it first from Susie. Man, thank you so much for your time. I would love to have a conversation with you afterwards. We
Thank you.
appreciate you so much. Um,
One last thing.
yes, ma'am.
I am starting the Lit Torch app Facebook group.
Okay.
I want you guys to look out for it. It's going to be coming soon. I honestly, I initiated it about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, and I just haven't pushed that button. I don't know what I'm waiting on, but it's coming soon. And Lit Torch Apparel is coming out,
Come on.
so you guys get ready for some sweatshirts, t-shirts, pajamas. We're gonna spark that flame in every sense.
So when can people expect the Facebook group to drop?
Within a week, next
Mhm.
couple of days.
Well, push that button and let us know. Howard said,
I
"Push the
will.
button." I say, "Push it now."
Okay.
It's no better way to jump into it. We got you. You got our
Thank
support, so
you.
don't worry about it. As far as the apparel, where can they find that at?
It'll be through the app and then also through the Lit Torch app webpage. Everything is being redesigned. The website is being redesigned. The app is being redesigned. Everything is just in motion. It's leveling up. It is going. So be on the lookout for it. I will announce it, and I appreciate anybody who has been on here. People who couldn't make it. People who chimed in and had to drop off. I really appreciate your support. You guys have no idea what it means to me, to have supporters behind me, even the haters.
Yeah.
I call them confused supporters. Thank you.
Hey, facts, and just anybody that felt like they missed anything about the game. The Bills started off winning. And now you already know the story. They're losing 21-9, I believe. It could have updated, but it is what it is. Susie, thank you so much for your time. And we look forward to many conversations that we'll have in the future.
Thank you so much.
You have a good one, sis. Hey, one thing about the virtual smoke deck that I always tell people is like we're here to not only enlighten but to also have those great conversations with people that you typically wouldn't even talk to unless you was in a more of a cigar setting or just outgoing like me and able to have that conversation. Everybody that has sat here in these comment boxes and blew them up, man, we appreciate you. You are the reason why we do this. Every week we come in and you guys never seem to disappoint us, and we really do appreciate it. Shout out to all the support that came for Susie, and everybody that really was just involved with this process, man. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button, and give us a big thumbs up. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and like the virtual smoke deck on Facebook for all the updated interviews that we actually have. We have next week Bruce Bush from Cigar Journal coming to talk about the different ways he write spigots, different lounges, and everything that he does with the Cigar Journal. And we have a more of an insight on how Cigar Journal actually works. Outside of that, man, make sure y'all go ahead and visit dapperDcigars.com for all your cigar needs and wants. Also, go follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Dapper D Cigars and subscribe to Jack the Cigar Enthusiast, man. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Get back to the game. I appreciate y'all. And also, go ahead and spark that flame. With that being said, I'm Jack the Cigar Enthusiast, and I'm gone.